Well, welcome back. It's another day, another repair, and it's been a minute since I uploaded a video. But today we are doing the front inner axle seals on a Jeep JK. That's from 2007 to 18, I believe. So we're gonna jump right into it and I'll show you guys how we do this as thorough as I can without skipping anything if I can. Step one, tire chocks. Get your vehicle in the air and get the front tires off of it. Okay, so we got it in the air. It looks something like this. Next step is step two. We're gonna put a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver in here, like this. And we're going to compress this piston in just like a 1/4 inch or something, just enough that we can pull this off easily and put it back on. To pull this off after you compress that, there's a 21 mil here. There's a 21 mil, I can do this, a 21 mil here. So there's two of them on the back of this brake caliper. We're gonna take those off and we're gonna take the brake caliper and set it right there on both sides. And now you have something like this, brake calipers out. These sit inside of here on the ABS sensor and here. And that's actually the next step because we're going to leave the wheel bearing and assembly together and we're gonna take it out as a whole because if we disturb this wire, we could end up with an issue. So we're gonna take this out all the way along here. We're gonna follow this wire all the way up here and in behind the strut tower and pull it out. So these just kind of pull out towards you. Like that, all the way down, unless some of them are broken and have zip ties like that. And then the connector is up behind here, so we'll pull that out so that we have access to it. Okay, so we got all that out. There is, I should point out, so when you take this out, there's these two like Christmas tree style things behind the shock here. They have to kind of wrestle with, and then when you take that out, there is a red tab right there. And what you gotta do is pull that red tab back, and then you can push the button down. It's just a little safety lock. Next step, there's 3 of these 13 mil 12-point bolts. There's one just shaped like a triangle, one there, one on the other side, and one there that we're going to do. And we'll get those out next. Okay, so we got those out. Best bet is a wrench and ratchet wrench to get them out. Now we want to separate this right here. And to do that, we're going to soak it in WD-40 and take lunch. So other than some cleanup, this side is apart for the time being. We'll come back to that in a minute. I want to show you on this side. This is the next side I have to take apart yet. Now, it's the same thing as that side. But what I want to point out is this is what the leak looks like coming out of the axle tube. Now that seal you see right here, that's a dust seal. That's not where your leak is. Your leak is back in here at the differential. So we're still gonna take that apart after, but I wanted to point this out to you guys. So same as before, 21 mil, take the caliper off, 13 mil 12 point, preferably a wrench if you can. Use a standard wrench to break it loose and a ratchet wrench to take it off. And then take this off after you take apart your ABS sensor. Same deal on this side. The ABS sensor just runs behind the shock, it runs under the spindle, across here, behind the shock, up behind the shock tower, and it's held in right there. Okay, so we got that axle out, just like that. Now, as I mentioned before, the seal that we're changing is inside that tube. So to get to that, we need to take off that diff cover. So there's a whole bunch of 13 mil bolts all the way around it. I recommend taking them all out, but the bottom one, then put your tray under it, take the bottom one out, put a screwdriver in here to break the seal. Just be sure not to bend this plate, because if you do, you may never reseal it again. One tip I want to point out though, when taking out these 12 mil bolts for, 13 mil 12 points for the wheel hub, is if your wheel hub's stuck, which it likely is, you can see I use a lot of WD-40, but you put the bolts in, you know, half a dozen threads, maybe not even that, a couple threads, and put a socket on the end of it, a shitty socket, like this, and hit it with a hammer. It'll push out. Don't bang on the wheel bearing. You're going to destroy the wheel bearing. So we're going to get that cover off now and get to the next steps. Okay, now we got the diff cover off. It's over here. Now, before we take these 19 mil bolts out, there's something I want to point out, and I can't stress enough, and that is the orientation and placement of these caps. So if you put this cap over here, which it will fit, you're going to have a problem. So what I like to do is I take a parts marker and I will mark this and this and this. Oh, sorry. This and this and this, just to ensure that they all go back in the same spot, so we have no problems down the road. Now we can take out, after we mark this, we can take out our 19 mil bolts here and here, and this whole carrier is going to come out, and it's probably a good 30 to 40 pounds, so be ready. But we're going to pull it out up a little bit over this track bar, and then down to the ground. Guys, we got it out. It's a bit of a fight, but the one thing I wanted to point out is, you see this right here? This is a shim that goes on the end for the axle, and it's important you make sure these go back and check your tubes to make sure there's none in there, because sometimes they get pulled through. So you want to make sure that goes back on the same side, just as we marked our bearings before, right? So make sure everything goes in the same spot as it was before. And just as I say that, I put my finger in here and I feel inside the seal one of the shims I was just talking about. So you want to make sure those go on. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to use something, I'm going to use a pry bar, but whatever you need. You're going to run it all the way through here, and you can see here one of the seals. We're going to change them both, and the seal's going to come out. You're going to knock it out this way, and this one this way. Just like that. These are the seals we're after and changing. Right and left. See all that shit? That's the shit you want to make sure you flush out, because if you don't, it's going to get on your axles and tear the seal apart. But just like that. Got it apart, we're going to do it in reverse. So we're going to put these seals in. Now the one thing I recommend is, if you got some Vaseline or white lithium grease, put it inside here, because there's a spring in there, and you want to keep that spring in place. So Vaseline, white lithium grease, something like that, to keep it in place when we press it in. So before I go push these in, I did go with the Spicer kits. I think they're a better product than the actual Dodge OE one, although they are technically the same, but not the same. And some people say they're rebranded, but as somebody who worked at Spicer at one point, I can tell you they're not. But anyway, I'm going to take these out, and I'm going to pack this with, I have white lithium grease, but Vaseline also works, and it'll help keep that spring in place. And then we'll use the bearing press and press it in place. Okay, seals are in, old ones are out. Time to put this in. Now, I've already cleaned this, but we're going to use our 80/90, and we're going to pre-lube these bearings and the caps. Those are the things we marked before, just to make sure everything's a good lubrication. As soon as it moves, this thing will spit up all kinds of fluid, but you want to make sure we have good lube. So we're going to do that first. Something I forgot to point out, and I should have, is if you look at like your pen, see how clean this is? This is good. I haven't even cleaned this. And see how clean that is? That's a good sign. There's no chunks or anything in the bottom of there. If you have chunks in here or debris in here, there's going to be some. That's a magnet. It's designed to have that. But if you have any in there, in here, big chunks, it's time to service that. But this one's in super good shape. So we're going to put it back together, pre-lube the bearings, and on we go. All right, we are in there, and the carrier bolts, these Jeeps came with a Dana 30 and a Dana 44. This is a Dana 30. I took 75 foot-pounds. I do not know that. I don't know the Dana 44 specs, because this isn't one. But moving on from, I said that backwards. This is a Dana 44, not a Dana 30. Right. Okay, moving on. So next we're gonna clean the cover up really good. I use a razor blade, I'll use some brake clean it really good. And then we're gonna put some silicone on there, same on the other side, both mating sides. And then we're gonna let that sit while we finish reassembling before we put any fluid in it. One thing I wanna point out is the #1 leading cause to axle seals leaking is the mating surface isn't clean. This one actually isn't too bad, the other one's worse. But make sure this is clean. Don't use sandpaper or anything, just clean it up as best you can. Make sure you don't have any deep grooves or anything like that on there. Okay, we got our diff cover on there. Next up is the axle. Now before we put the axle in on the mating side of the wheel bearing, we're gonna use a flapper wheel, and we're gonna clean this up all in here. So this is all nice and clean, and then it'll go together nice. We'll clean up our bolts really nice, so they thread in really nice. We want everything nice and clean, so we have no problems assembling or going down the road. Okay, so like I said, do not run this through there. Make sure you go up through here. You're gonna go round back through and over top of your axle that we just changed the seal on here, and then I usually stop right about here, and I put the rotor and caliper back on. So first put the rotor on, obviously, and then the caliper will bolt to here. That must have fallen down. It was on there though. You don't want to have your caliper ever suspended hanging off this rubber hose. It stretches it out. It was on there like 2 minutes ago. Maybe it's pretty windy out right now. Maybe the wind blew it off. But anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get the caliper and rotor on, and then we'll finish putting this on, and this side will be together. Well, all in a small day's work. There she goes. No leaks now, ready to go.